how we're gonna get this engine in today. We're gonna get it in today. I know I am a mobile mechanic, so I do other business outside of working on my hot rods. This is kind of for fun. This is what I like to do. And other thing is to kind of pay them bills. So let me get all this set up right here, and then we'll get right back and start putting this engine in here. If you can see, got the engine ready. Got the area just cleared out, basically. Just done moved it out, moved everything out the way. And we're just gonna get these two motor mounts, get the engine to take on these two motor mounts. But as I'm talking with you, I just realized I haven't took the hood off yet. So let me take the hood off. You can take the engine out. Sometimes I'm removing the hood on these, but it's best just go ahead and remove the hood. Is inside of the vehicle. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it up to the torque converter and put the engine mount bolts in. Things very seldom go as planned. Always make sure you disconnect your battery when you're doing this. I had the battery hooked up and forgot I hadn't disconnected it. It caught onto the helix, the positive and the negative. Anyway, the negative caught up here. And then the positive caught right there. So we got a nice big old hole in our nice sized headers we just purchased. Aww. A lot of tubes for one with a small hole. Things very seldom go as planned. Most of the stuff that happened had to be done anyway. So as you see, it has moved from the other location that it was at over here. What ended up happening, we had a situation where it was going in reverse, but it wasn't going in drive. Every time I went to put it in drive, it died down. So I thought it was timing, but once I got it to go in reverse, I knew it wasn't the timing. I started moving it. I did a hard launch on it. I put it at 3,000 RPM and launched it, and it took off. Boom, started doing the lines. So that's how I got it to this position, was by putting it in reverse a few times and then launching it forward. Putting it in reverse, launching it forward. And I kept doing that up until I got it to this point. And then it didn't want to go in reverse anymore. So I do know it needs a new stall converter, for one. All right, the factory stall converter on here only does like 1,500 to 1,600 RPM. When you put your foot on the brake or when you put it in drive with this 8802 cam from Summit, the wheels instantly start spinning. So I could put it in drive, hold my foot on the gas, and then the wheels are just gonna start spinning. The engine will stay running, but the wheels will be spinning, So it needs a new stall converter. So if you go with the Summit 8802 cam on a 305 small block Chevy, you are going to need a stall converter. It's recommended to go 2,400 and up. 2,200 may be suffice, but I'm going to put a 2,500 stall converter on here. I originally was going to do a whole different thing with the trans. So now that the transmission is need to be rebuilt, I'm going to build it up a little bit, but not much, because I want to change the whole transmission layout than what I'm going to have to put in it now just to get it out of the position that it's in, stuck in the dirt. So all I really want to do now is see if it's going to start, because it's been sitting for about 6-7 days now, not 8 days. The cold weather, hot, cold. So that's what really I think hurt the transmission too, was me running water through it while it was going hot and cold, and it just contaminated the transmission and made it to where it didn't want to go in reverse anymore. Like I said, what's holding this up? All we want to do is see if it's going to start. Because just had a situation where this thing for years, if I let it sit for about 4 days, 5 days, really 2 days, it wouldn't start. So all I wanted to do is see it start, hear it start. Now it's not going to idle perfectly right because I still haven't timed it. It should hold and drive a lot better. Now it's still going to need a stall converter, but I feel the idle mixture is just a little off, or a little off on that off throttle. Put it in drive. That could just all be stall converter, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to meter or calibrate them jets just a little bit, especially when I add that space on there to get the carburetor to do what I want it to do, all the way from startup, idle, to drive, to hitting the gears. All we want to do is see if the baby's gonna fire up and do what it needs to do. Now, what's been holding me up? A couple of things. So if you can see, it's a vehicle over here. Got it. They're needing a rebuild on the rear differential. So I got all the components there, just waiting on all the pieces and parts to come in for their rebuild on their rear differential. So then we have to start the rebuild of the engine on this one. The owner was told he had a 305 in this van. All my research and when I ran the VIN and numbers showed this to be a 350. Now, these weren't too difficult to get out of here. I mean, if you want some videos, somebody wants some videos on how to take these engines out, hit me in the comments and let me know, and I may show a little more. But in reality, it's really just that motor mount down there, taking that one off completely. By taking that whole assembly out, then you can leave the other one in like that. It was able to just kind of wiggle itself right on out of there, just like a basic engine. And then I hooked the throttle plate up and put the hoist mount up to the first loop, and it was and I just removed everything out the front end of it, before we did all that. So this wasn't too difficult to remove this engine out of here. So main thing is I had to rebuild this engine now, get it nice and prepped up, and for my customer here. And while I'm rebuilding his engine, he also wants some work done to the transmission. So that's kind of what the holdup is. That's what's kind of going on with me and my operations right now, and why I'm not able to go full throttle. No pun intended. But this vehicle is needing a transmission rebuild. This is needing a rebuild on the differential. And this baby is needing an engine rebuild. But let's see if this baby is going to do what I want it to do, and let's just start her up. Again, she's not going to idle good. It's not going to be the perfect idle, but at least you'll be able to hear it start up and see that it is operating and getting itself ready to go. I'm not going to do too much, but put the key in, hit the switches, give it a couple of pumps, and hit start. get a little more better, but like I said, right now